Hello everyone, this is Nana.
And I'm Ngazi,
and welcome back to our channel, Ejima. So today we're going to be talking about our experiences as growing up as first generation Nigerian Americans in the diaspora. So the things we're going to be talking about, I don't think you necessarily need to even have African heritage to relate to it, because first gen just means that you're the first generation born
into the country your parents immigrated to.
Exactly. So I think a lot of these things many people can relate
Asians,
to.
maybe Hispanic, some like South Americans,
people from different African countries. I definitely think, and just talking about like the way we feel like it's shaped us, like, you know, the good parts, the bad parts, just overall, just some discussion. So what I grew up really thinking about was everyone is different, right? Every family is different, so I don't want to generalize and make it seem like just because I experienced it, everyone experienced it. But these are things I noticed that my friends would talk about, my family members, my cousins, and I just realized growing up there was a lot of comparison. Like I remember growing up and like, if mind you, you guys were pretty good children, but if we do certain things, my mother would be like, oh, this person did it, do they have 5 heads? This person did it, do they have 3 heads? Or look at this person,
they stay at home, they don't go out.
They listen to their mother. Look at this person doing this. And it always just got me so mad. I said, like, whenever I have children, I will never compare them to anything. Because some of these people my mother would compare me to is like, you don't even want me to be this person. You just want me to have one aspect of this person's personality. But it's like they have characteristics like my mom doesn't know about. You don't know that this person is mean, or you don't know this person is dirty, or you don't know that this person is timid, or you don't know this person can't speak up for herself. You know what I mean? Like, no one is perfect. We all have our flaws, but growing up and constantly being compared to your cousins or your family friend, it just be so annoying. It's like you don't even know these people. You just see them once every few months and make assumptions about them. I know that really used to bother me.
What annoyed me a lot, but what still annoys me is like some parents who weren't born here not wanting to learn the system. And I just feel as if, I understand, you know, it's a different place. I can imagine right now at my age going to live somewhere else. Like, things work differently. Everything is different. The system, the schooling, the way you child rearing, the laws, everything is so different, right? But the way I look at it is, if you got on a plane, you've come to another place, you have to be willing to adapt. You're somewhere new. You can't give, like, I give you an example, like my mother would be like, oh, you know, I didn't go to school in America. So like, I don't really understand, like, you know, the school system, like high school, middle school, you know, where she went to school, they broke it up differently. They took different tests. And I don't understand that, but at the same time, I always tell her, like, you know, like, there's back to school night, there's all this stuff. You want to know, you will go and try and educate yourself. You can't give yourself that excuse for the rest of your life that, oh, I didn't go to school here, so I'm not going to learn about the school system. Because at the same time, I know people who their parents weren't born here, and they're first gen too, and their parents have made more of an effort. You know, I feel like sometimes it's just lack of interest, you know, maybe, or not necessarily lack of interest, but you know, when something is not you don't know how to do something. Sometimes as human beings, we're kind of fearful of it. We don't want to deal with it. Things are hard. Older people don't want to use technology because they didn't grow up with it. They don't know it. But the things that they're afraid of are very simple, but they're not really willing to learn because they've just put in their head that this is so difficult, this is so hard, I'll never be able to learn it. And it's just, that used to annoy me. That still annoys me a lot, because I do understand, like, when people say that.
And you have to be understanding. So back then they didn't have all this technology. So you can't just Google, what is this? What is an AP class? What is it this? What is it that? Like, they didn't have that.
Does this?
Yeah, so like, it was more like you had to like read or word of mouth or talk to people. But yeah, so my next one is actually kind of funny. But if you're first gen, let me know in the comment section. Did your parents scare you about the opposite sex? Did they make you seem as if like the opposite sex was so bad, they're terrible,
or worse, they didn't talk about it?
They didn't. No, like the opposite, they're terrible. All they want is one thing. And honestly, I laugh at these things because they're just so funny. I remember calling my mother and telling her I got my period, and she was like upset. You know, man, stuff like that. And just, I look back and I'm just like, some of these experiences we laugh about, they can be like, it could be traumatizing, because it's like, so you grew up and you wonder why you can't open up, or you grew up and you wonder why you're still closed. You wonder why you still can't express yourself a certain way. You wonder why this is not a blame game, but like, these are things that if you grow up and you're like, men are evil, men are evil, men are evil, men are evil, like, you start really feeling that that's true. You know what I mean? Granted, there's a lot of craziness I probably avoided, just staying in my own lane and focusing on school and other things that I was doing, but it's like, No, like you can't go from men are evil and then want them to be married at 25. You get what I'm saying? So when do men start being evil? Like when do they start being good people? When do they start being? When am I start to be allowed? When am I allowed to start dealing with them? Like no, like, these are conversations that need to be had. Like I know it's not easy. I know it's very uncomfortable, but it's like this whole talk about dating and relationships. I know it's a taboo in many cultures to talk to 16-year-old about that. I talk to 17 because it's like if I'm telling you about this, that means I'm encouraging
but
it.
you're not, and you're just letting me know what's out there so I can make well-informed decisions.
Yeah.
You're not. That doesn't make any sense. But yeah, that's a good one. Just period that whole topic. A lot of us had to. We don't really have the parent we can go to and talk about those type of things.
And people are still doing those things. So like you may need a parent that be like, okay, you're 18, you're going to college. If you have sex, use condoms. You get what I'm saying? I don't think that me telling my daughter that is telling her. But at the end of the day, I can't control what she's going to do. I don't live with her. But I should tell her, okay, you know what? You need to go to OBGYN. You need to use condoms. You need to do this. Don't let no one do this. Don't go to a... I wish someone would have told me, instead of saying men are evil, I wish someone would have told me, like, growing up, don't go to a man's house if you don't want to do something. These are little things that sound so basic.
So naive.
I'm so naive. I'm like, oh no, he seems nice. He's not gonna do anything. Like little things I just wish someone would have told me. Not necessarily even my mother. It could be any family figure. Like, you know what, Nana, if you're not ready to go all the way, do not go to that house. These are conversations that need to be had because especially with all this rape culture and all of this stuff that's going on, I need to protect myself. You know, so I just wish there was more talk about like sex, dating. My mom wasn't even that bad, to be honest. We talked about those things, but like in general terms. She never like one-on-one talked to me about those things like personally. Yeah.
Okay, so another thing.
It's uncomfortable.
It is uncomfortable. I can understand where they're coming from, but you know, and that part, you know, the American culture was very open, so like it's just different based on how they were raised because probably they didn't have this conversation with their parents, so it's hard for them to, you know, break that cycle. But another topic I think that a lot of first gen struggle with is being guilt tripped. Is that the word I'm looking for? Like, or feeling as if like you're not grateful, or feeling as if you're not basically using your opportunity. Because you know, when you have parents who've come from a country and they see how much they've seen so much lack and they didn't have these opportunities that we had growing up, it's very easy for them to be like, oh, well, in such and such country, people don't have this. They're looking for it. In such and such country, people are crying for this. In such and such country, children are looking for this.
So am I supposed to cry?
Am I supposed to repent and pray? Oh, Heavenly Father, thank you so much for me. No, like, this is my birthright. Like, I understand you want to be grateful, but it's like, I don't think it's healthy to make your children feel as if like,
They should feel bad
for what they've been privileged to have. Like, you left your country and brought them here so they can have these privileges. So then don't use those same privileges to throw it at their face like you guys don't understand. You guys have everything. You guys are spoiled, or you don't understand suffering, or you don't understand problems. Like, just because someone lives in a nice house and lives in a nice neighborhood doesn't mean they don't have their own internal struggles. Everyone, of course, it's not the same as someone not having food or someone not having clean water. I'm not going to sit here and make the same comparison, but everyone has their own struggles, no matter how rich, no matter how poor, no matter how much amenities, how little amenities. So I think that was annoying, you know, growing up, and you know, you can't really blame them because they grew up somewhere and they just feel as if like we're like in a utopia, or like we're like in this paradise, and like make sure you're not, you know, my mother said to my brother all the time, you gotta understand, Nigerian children are supposed to be doing this. Oh, this. You don't understand, children are looking for this.
Remind you, she was talking to me last night how she grew up spoiled. She never went in the kitchen. She never cooked. So it's like you're spoiled in some ways.
Exactly.
You know, just because you're from the continent of Africa doesn't mean that you couldn't be a spoiled child.
That's fake news.
That's fake news.
Like we mentioned in the other video about America being overrated. I said all the time, number one thing is having money, because there's children who are poor in America who have struggled a lot. And there's children who are rich in countries in Africa who have never struggled, who have had everything handed to them. So just because
you're not the average person.
Yeah, of course. But just because you're in Africa doesn't mean you're lacking. Just because you're in
struggling.
the West doesn't mean you have money.
Right.
So you need the details before you can start making
assumptions. I think one of the biggest ones, I don't even know why we didn't mention this earlier, is just I think a lot of first-gen parents, a lot of immigrant parents trying to project what they wish they did on life to their children.
Oh my gosh.
And that's just something I dealt with personally. Something that I really, really just came to a point where it's like, I'm not doing this anymore. Like, I'm just like, I need to be happy and live my life. Some of these things really make people happy. But if it doesn't make me happy, I'm not doing it to please you and then I'm miserable. It doesn't make any sense. Like, whatever I really believe in self-fulfillment. There's a stage, I keep talking to girls about these things, I'm crazy. Now, Kubler-Ross is stages of grief. There's a stage, some what we learn about in nursing school is like there's a stage that there's an age group that where you want to feel fulfilled in life. And I really feel as if there's a certain age you reach to when you haven't accomplished certain things, you do start feeling depressed. You do start feeling down. So I believe that any age you are at, whatever you really want to do, go and achieve it. It's America. People are working at 80. Even if you're 60, you always want to be a lawyer, go to law school. If you're 50, you always want to be a surgeon, go to medical school. If you're 47, you always want to be a teacher, go to school. Because I feel as if there's a lack that you're always going to have inside of you that you never did something you really, really wanted to do. Or maybe something you thought you wanted to do. So just this whole pressure, growing up, especially as Nigerian Americans, there's so much pressure academically. It's like having a bachelor's degree is like nothing. Like everyone, basically for the most part, everyone wants you to be like a doctor. Then the other ones are after, like, okay, maybe a pharmacist, maybe a dentist, okay, maybe a lawyer is okay, an accountant, an engineer. But like I feel like growing up, it's like so much pressure. Like when I I'll tell my story time one day about like going to school, going to Temple. I was pre-nursing and I switched to biology because everyone around me was telling me, why do I just want to be a nurse? Mind you, that's what I really wanted to do because I had in my head, I'll finish at 21, I'll have my money, making like $70K a year, travel, minimal loans, go back to school maybe by 25, finish like by 28, and I'm done. Like I was like, I want something short. Like I don't want to be in school forever. I want to coach basketball. I want to travel. I want to pursue my hobbies. I know a lot of these other professions are very tasking. Once you do them, your whole life is just a lot of commitment. You know what I mean? And nothing's wrong with that if you really want to do that, right? So I just feel as if like you just have to be careful. A lot of parents, and I understand you want the best for your kids, but like
it's ignorance.
What you want is not necessarily what they want.
Or what
Focus on what your child is good at.
Exactly.
Right? Like don't see someone that can't even do basic math and tell them to go be a mathematician. Like it's not reasonable.
It's not
Look at them. Maybe you notice that they have a knack for teaching or have a knack for psychology. Everyone calls them when they have problems. Maybe they could be a therapist. You know what I mean? Like stop projecting what you didn't do on your children because sometimes it just brings around so much stress, resentment. Unnecessary resentment, unnecessary. It's just not. Life is hard enough. Like we don't need unnecessary stress. Nothing's wrong for looking out for your children. Like I know I'm gonna be a parent one day. And I'm not gonna let my child go and study anything in school just because they like it.
I know get a job.
I know how hard things are. I'm not gonna tell you. You're not gonna go do basket weaving and want me to pay for it. No. But if your child actually presents something reasonable, that's actually decent, they have a plan and they're good at it, like encourage them. Like don't worry about what everyone else is doing just because you can go to parties and say, oh, chief.
And I think that comes off the point, the culture of competition.
Right.
Us being, I say it all the time. Like when I think it's we have this conversation. We just had the conversation about like weeks back. I just feel as if like I always bring it back to when you come from a place of lack. You understand there's like a psychology behind all of this. Why a lot of us first gens have experiences because a lot of our parents came from a place of lack. Even if they weren't lacking, they came from a place of lack.
That's right, you're right.
So what's their mentality? Okay, let me get as much as I can.
Right.
Let me compete. That's like human psychology. Like if you're coming from somewhere you didn't see anything, when you see it, you want more. You want more. You want more. But let's say me, like I'm American. I was born and raised here. We don't look at stuff like that. I'm not competing with someone about what age I have my first child.
I'm not competing with
married. Yeah, like
I'm not competing with my cousins. I'm not competing with my friends.
I see a lot of foreign people. I feel like they compete about very weird things.
We were talking about it the other 2 days ago. She was talking about like friends building houses and how they built it. They went to one friend, saw the house, and they said they have to build a house like this. Like just little weird things. They see their friend driving the cars they're driving, and it's like nothing's wrong with that. But at what expense?
I'm not going to go into debt trying to compete with my I don't have this personality. I can see my friend driving a Range Rover. That's just not going to make me go buy. I'm
gonna enter the Range Rover and be so
exactly.
Happy for her.
You're going to be in that range. Like I don't think that way. I'm not
saying
this
even with like certain. I think it is. I've noticed even with certain like family members, like you'll say something, they have to like throw it. Like let's say Ngozi says, "Oh, I just graduated from medical school." Then I say, "Oh, well, I'm doing nurse practitioner." Like it's almost like I can't be happy for. Let me like Ngozi just told me that. Let me focus on her. Let me be focused on her joy. Like, why am I trying to throw in what I'm raised like that? We're raised. I noticed that even I'm just like, what? Like, who cares? No one cares if I'm going to school. And Ngozi just graduated. Like, let her shine. Let us enjoy her moment. Like, it's little things you don't notice. Some little cues sometimes. Like, it's always everyone feels they have to compete. To the point I have friends that even lie to me sometimes about stupid stuff. I'm not in competition with you.
I don't know who you're competing with.
I don't think I'm better than you. I don't think you're better than me. I have my own things. I'm looking this way, you're looking that way. I have my own things I'm worried about, but certain friends.
That's how they're raised.
That's how they're raised. Everything
is the culture.
like, oh, I'm doing business now. Oh, I'm doing. Why do you have to compete with me? Because you think you think I'm a nurse now and I'm looking down on you. I'm not looking down on you. I'm not making 6 figures. You know what I mean? Like, I'm just here trying to make it just like everyone else. But there's that raised in society that everything's a competition. Everything's about your title. Everything is bragging rights.
Down on me.
Everyone's looking down.
This person is judging me.
This person is judging me. I want to go to parties and have doctor in front of my name on the invitation, barrister, engineer, and those are all great things. But if you're doing it just for the title, that defeats the purpose.
I feel like you never feel truly fulfilled.
You have to do it because it's your passion. It's something you actually care about, something you actually like. You know, so I just feel as if like just trying to, it goes back to just trying to live through your children.
Vicariously
through your children. It kind of have its good and bad, because I might be that parent that be like, oh my God, I wish that in my early 20s, I graduated school at 21, 22, and I could start. So I'm going to tell my child, oh, let's travel here. Let's go here. That could be me living vicariously through my child, but I'm not pressuring them. Like, I'm not making them stressed out. If they don't want to travel with me, I'm not going to force them. You guys say, I might have a child that doesn't care about travel. So I'm not going to say, oh, well, you're 22, 23. Oh, I wish when I was your age, I had the money you're making. Let's go travel every 3 months. If they don't want that, I'm going to respect that. Maybe I'll travel with Nancy. You get what I'm saying? So it could be with anything. It's not just like school, but just like sometimes like that like
unnecessary competition. Yeah. Like for what? Who benefits? Who gain? Like there's no benefit. Like there is healthy competition. I'm not saying but there's healthy anxiety. Like we always have anxiety is not bad.
Right.
Like there's when anxiety you feel that makes you okay, I have to clean my room.
Your bed,
I have to do this because I'm feeling a little anxious. I know I have to get ready, get going. It's a natural feeling.
But when you can't sleep at
night. When you have anxiety, you're like throwing up and like you're like you having crazy stools and you can't sleep. That's the issue. You know what I mean? Even something that's bad as sadness. Like I always talk to them all the time. Like we grew up in a society sometimes. And now, I feel like with social media, everybody wants to be happy all the time. That's not reality.
Right.
You being sad is normal. You're supposed to be sad sometimes. You're not always supposed to be cheesy. You're always supposed to be smiling and happy and laughter. That's fake.
Your feelings.
That's weird. Let yourself feel that sadness. But if that sadness persists for months, that may be depression.
Sad,
yeah, you may be depressed. You may have an issue. You may need to see somebody. You know. But it's like I feel like sometimes now everyone wants to just have these fake emotions, and it's annoying. Like I'm not always happy. I'm not always energetic. I'm not always bubbly. I'm not always friendly. You know what I mean? You have times when you have those feelings and you have times when you don't. And that's fine. Like, there's nothing wrong with it. But I think that as being first generation, for people, like we mentioned earlier, the first gen Africans, people who are the first generation born in the country that their parents have immigrated to,
the Western world.
Basically, we're the ones who are going to just, I feel like we have the power to change all the things.
We take the good and leave the bad.
Exactly.
That's what I always say about culture. Culture is beautiful, but not all culture is needed. There's a point in culture where we're from that twins you threw away in the evil forest because people don't understand how two of the same people could be born. But now we would never think of doing that, right? That's a part of the culture we took away.
The bad culture.
So we can't just always say culture. There's good parts that you take and there's bad parts you take aside. There's parts of American culture that I love. There's parts of the Nigerian culture that I love. There's parts that I don't like. There's parts of American culture that I don't like. I like how in America you're raised more of to not care about authority sometimes. Like I feel like sometimes like seeing like even my brother went to Nigeria, he came back. I see people. I feel like sometimes they're too respectful. It's like someone older than them, they'll do anything they tell them to say. But I feel like growing up in America, like I know that I don't care if you're 40 years older than me. If you disrespect me, it's gonna be a problem. But doesn't mean I'm gonna disrespect you necessarily. Doesn't mean I'm gonna be rude to you. But I know what's wrong. And if you do something wrong to me, I'm gonna stand up to you. I don't care if I'm 12. I don't care if I'm 14. But you know, so there's good parts of the culture that I like too. Allowing young people to be outspoken, allowing young people to have a voice, allowing them to express how they feel. You know what I mean? So culture is great, but not all parts of culture is good. Female genital mutilation is a part of some culture that's wrong.
It's a nasty culture.
That's a bad part of the culture. That is not right. You get what I'm saying? But it's a part of people's culture. You know what I mean? So we just have to keep that in mind. Anything else you would think of?
I'm trying to think of something.
Growing up first gen. Something. How about marriage? Relationships, our specialty.
We talked about kind of when we touched on like, you know, not talking to your children about dating, but just not talking about dating and then expecting people to get married. I think that's just very annoying.
But do they have to talk about it for it to happen?
They don't have to talk about it, but they need to be realistic and they need to still like not necessarily tell you to go get a boyfriend. That's not what I'm saying, but I'm just saying like they still need to be open about the whole dating area because is something that's real. Like,
I feel like I should be able to be in college and call my mom and be like, oh, I'm going to this with this guy. But you, not like what you think, but like I should be able to, like, I don't know, people gotta think it's weird, but I feel like I should be, if I'm 21, I'm old enough to go to nursing, I'm old enough to be a pharmacist, I'm old enough to pay bills, I'm old enough to be in my career. I feel like I should be old enough at an age to call, like, a parent or someone and ask for some type of advice when it comes to relationship as well. You know what I mean? But it's just something that's just like, oh my God, we don't want to talk about that. No, so it's so taboo. It's, oh my God, because sometimes parents have gone through some of the same things you've gone through, and they've learned from their mistakes. And sometimes it can give you some really, really good advice. Yeah, maybe ancient in a way, but maybe even just give you a little bit of a perspective. Like, nah, leave him, or he's a good guy, you're overreacting. You know, it's not that serious. Maybe you're overthinking things. Just think about it for 2 weeks. You know what I mean? So
definitely being first gen, we do have a completely different experience just growing up, because we're the first ones basically mixing cultures, right?
Right.
So we're born in a different country. Our parents weren't born here. They weren't raised here. But then they're bringing that influence from their country and trying to form it to us in a different culture. So it's like, the blending can get very difficult. You know, sometimes I mentioned, well, my last point I make is that always having to kind of explain yourself, right? So let's say growing up, I know like my mother was pretty strict. Not necessarily to me, but, you know, to Americans, she was like, you can't go to your friend's house. You know, having to explain those things. But let's say I'm talking to another fellow, like my cousins, so they understand that.
Yeah,
like, we're not,
to an Indian
like they understand. I'm not being able to go to your friend's house. Maybe you don't dress up for Halloween. Just little stuff that, you know, like the average American does, because that's a part of their culture. You know, when it comes to someone, their parents, like that, there's many people, their parents, they don't really understand it. They don't understand what Halloween is. They don't understand all these holidays. They don't understand the going to your. They don't understand, you know, that 13-year-olds can go to movies with their friends. Like, to them, it's like, stay in your house, stay in your house, stay in your house, stay in your house. And I understand. Trust me. Law and Order: Special Victims is my favorite show, and after watching that, I know why my mother acted the way she acted. I think she was even strict enough. Right. My child's gonna be in the house because I know the craziness I've seen. But at this, with the same tokens, like, you have to give them a reason why, right? So don't tell me no. Tell me no because such as, like, let's say makeup now. When I was growing up, makeup was nothing. Even in college, we barely wore makeup. Makeup was a big 2014 thing. I thought I was doing something. I don't know what brows were, maybe like to 2012, 2013. If my daughter wants to wear makeup, and let's say she's 12, because that's right now, you would think that's young. 12-year-olds are wearing makeup. 13-year-olds are wearing makeup. I'm not going to just say no. I'm going to say no, daughter. You cannot wear makeup, because when you wear makeup, it makes you look older. And when you look older, predators start looking towards you. People who are normally maybe not attracted to or looking at you now think you may be a target for them. So I'll give her an explanation. You don't want to attract the wrong attention. So at this age, you are too young to wear that makeup, because it's gonna make you look too old, and older men are looking at you.
I think I'm gonna be a bitch.
No, so I'm just giving an example, not just the no. Just no. Like, no, you can't go to your friend's house. Why? Because I don't know who's in your friend's house.
Right.
I don't know who comes to that house. I know who's in my house, but I don't know who's in the house that you go to. So you cannot go to your friend's house. Like, you know what I mean? I feel like when you kind of explain the things, it makes sense. It's like, okay, now I see where it comes. Not just you being mean. No. You just think your parents are just so mean and crazy. But like, when you actually explain your rationale, things do start to make sense.
And before we go, you know the funny part of it is talking about my lesson. I don't think you heard this. She was talking about growing up in Cameroon.
Yeah, her
from Cameroon. She had to go to Nigeria. According to her, Cameroon is like America. They have mad fun. But she was talking like, she was basically bad. Like, the way she be talking sometimes, I think that may be part of why she's so strict.
Bad. They make them so strict because they know what they were doing.
I know what I was doing. I know where I was when I was going when I was supposed to be in school. I know who I was dealing with. I know the older influence friends. I know I was cutting class. You know what I mean? So it makes them like super strict. But she was talking to me like, yo, you were kind of like, you were kind of you weren't that perfect child. So it's funny sometimes when they yell and they scream, it's just like, you would think that they're so perfect and they got straight A's and they listen to their parents.
It's scary being a parent. You know, we won't understand until you're a parent. It's scary. Like, your child is just, everything is in your hands. Like, you'll be the first one to blame when something goes wrong. So like, they may be acting crazy, but they have to do what they have to do to make sure you just don't do stupid stuff and mess up your life, because there's some mistakes, we always talk about it, there's some mistakes that you don't want to make, you can't recover. Right. It's not a mistake you go, oh, I maybe like I did something stupid, like, oh, I stole Rice Krispies, or like something.
And they put you in jail.
What's that guy, the guys, the Jay-Z, that hung himself, he stole a backpack. That ended up making him go to jail, and he ended up killing himself. So there's mistakes you make that may seem so trivial, but can really ruin your life.
There's some mistakes you don't want your child to make.
George Floyd died over $20 over a fake. Was it a fake $20 bill? That's what took his life. Was it a fake check or something? I don't even.
Counterfeit.
Yeah, that's what he died over. Something like crazy, like things that you think are so small. You don't want your children to make these mistakes because it's like you don't know the crazy officer they're going to get into contact with. You don't know the crazy person they're going to see on the street. Yeah, you can, of course, but you just try and do your best. But let us know how you feel about this. All our
growing up first gen. What are some things growing up first gen that you feel as if you love that your parents or your family did, and some things you didn't like? Some things that you think that you would change. Some things you feel like growing up you realized they were toxic. Some things you think growing up were not healthy for you. Just let us know in the comment section down below.
Yes, don't forget to share this video, like, subscribe, and we'll see you in our next video. Bye.